I'm with David Tailor, originally from the UK, but living in Colombia. David, you've come to Israel. Has it been a dream to come to Israel?
Yeah, Israel basically was the dream of my wife, Dari Luce. She'd always talked and dreamed about coming to Israel. In 2020, a window of opportunity presented itself for us. We booked the flights, we got the hotel booked, everything was done, and then COVID-19 prevented us from having the trip. So 2 years later, almost to the day, we rebooked the flights and got the accommodation sorted out, and we made it to Israel. So we're very, very happy indeed to be here.
So it's been quite a struggle to get here.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle all the way from, we live in a place called Santa Marta in Colombia. And, right from the get-go, really, we had problems getting out of Santa Marta because we were traveling with our children. We've got 3 children, Maria Camila, who's 25, Nathan, who's 13, and Hudson Tailor, right? The famous missionary in China is alive and kicking today. So Hudson's 14. Normally when I travel with the boys, they have British passports, and I need a written permission to take the boys, for example, from Colombia to Florida. But with both parents traveling, we didn't believe we needed that permission. So that was our first obstacle we had to get through. And then we had a one-way flight to Madrid in Spain, which I should have known better, because we were going to book the return flight when we got to Spain, because we were waiting for some credit from the 2020 trip to come to us. So we thought, we'll wait till we're in Spain, we'll get that credit and we'll book with that. So guess what? You can't travel to Spain without a return ticket. So we had to overcome that obstacle. And there's been so many, so I won't go into them all. But it's been a bit of a challenge to get here. But what I can say, that challenge has been well worth it. We just love Israel. We love Palestine. We love the family of God. And we believe, we're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing.
Have you been able to see many of the sites?
Yeah, one of my personal desires was to baptize my kids in the River Jordan where Jesus Christ himself was baptized. So we found the place where apparently he was baptized, and we baptized our kids right there on the 22nd, I think it was, of this month, which was just a couple of days ago, really. So after I'd baptized my kids, there was a bunch of American people there, and they found out that I was an ordained minister, so they said, can you baptize us as well? So I baptized 3 more, and I was asking for anybody else here who wants baptizing. I am available. So that was a really awesome thing. Before we got to the baptismal site, we needed to have a car to get there. So we tried every rental place on King David Street, and we just run out of options, and we came to the final one, and it was budget car. And when me and my friend Paul Calvert walked in there, we saw the guy say, tell them there's no vehicles available, right? But we pursued it a little bit, and the lady said, oh yeah, we've got one car, but it needs washing, you'd have to wait. No, we'll take it and wash. We don't need the car to be washed. So as we got talking, she told us she was a Christian. So I basically said to her, name was a wonderful name, Paradise. Okay, that's her name, Paradise. So I mentioned to Paradise, I gave her my business card really with the Reverend David Tailor on it. She said, oh, you're an ordained minister? I said, that's right. She said, will you pray for my daughter? So the daughter was a baby called Nisreen, and she brought the baby out, and I prayed for Nisreen, and then Paradise wanted prayer, so we prayed, and she said, we weren't going to give you the car, but now we're just so glad that, you came, and now Paradise has invited me to lunch with her family in Bethlehem, so we're going to have lunch today with Paradise, Nisreen, and the rest of her family.
Wow. So you're seeing God moving. Now, what was it like for you to baptize your own sons in the River Jordan?
Well, it was an amazing experience, Paul, because, I've got a very checkered background. I've not always been a Christian. I didn't come from a religious family. I'm the youngest of 11 kids, 9 boys and 2 girls. And as I say, we'd never heard of Jesus Christ. We'd never heard of any other religion, really. So to cut a long story short, I finally became a Christian almost at the age of 40 in a prison cell in Lindholm, Doncaster, near, in the UK. And basically, I knew nothing about the Lord. I was in my prison cell on the 24th of December 1988. I was in there alone, and I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning. And when I woke up, I felt this tremendous presence all around me and knew that Jesus Christ had died on the cross at Calvary for me. And I said, Lord, if you're real, come into my heart right now. And guess what? He did. And when he did, those 40 years just flooded out of me in tears. I said, I asked forgiveness for all the sins that I'd committed, because just like the Apostle Paul in some ways, I was the worst of the worst. So when I'd said the prayer, I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I was a brand new person. The Bible tells us in John 8, verse 32, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And that's how it happened for me. So from a prison cell in Lindholm, Doncaster, to baptizing my own children in the exact place where Jesus Christ himself was baptized was an amazing turnaround in my life.
Wow, that's quite something. And what are you doing today? God has called you into ministry. What sort of ministry are you doing today?
Yeah, the ministry today, first and foremost, I'm an Assemblies of God of Great Britain missionary. Outside of being a missionary, I also founded a ministry called Oasis of Hope Foundation, okay? And Oasis of Hope Foundation originated in the UK in 1999, and then I started Oasis of Hope Foundation in the USA in about 2003. But it originated after the UK. We were known as Oasis de Esperanza, or La Fundación Oasis de Esperanza, in Santa Marta, Colombia, which is Oasis of Hope Foundation. So we're in 3 different countries, but all 3 countries exist in some ways to find the resources to do the ministry that we do. And what is the ministry that we do? Well, it's 5-fold in some ways. We do evangelism, we do church planting, we do education, we do medical missions, and we do feeding projects. And the work has grown exponentially since I started it under a tree in 1999. Okay. Now, what was you doing under a tree? Well, just a few weeks after I arrived in Santa Marta, Colombia, I arrived on the 1st of August 1999. The church what I was attending, Assemblies of God Church, asked me if I'd be prepared to go and visit a poor family in a neighborhood called Vista Hermosa, which means beautiful view in English. I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. And they told me how to get there. It was a very poor neighborhood indeed. And I'm walking along this dirt track, and I looked to my right, and at that specific moment, God spoke to me. So what did he say? He said, David, I want you to buy that piece of land. He told me what he wanted me to do on the piece of land, and he told me I had to buy it with my own money. So my mum was from Dunbar in Scotland, and my dad was born in Ireland, and I was born in Kingston upon Hull in England. So my mother taught me to be a very frugal person indeed. My mother could peel an orange in a pocket. She was that frugal, okay. So when the Lord asked me to buy the land with my own money, I kind of thought about it for just a few seconds, really, because the Lord knows the beginning from the end, doesn't he? So I said, right, Lord, how much do I need to pay for it? And he gave me a number, X number of thousands of dollars. And it was a very difficult exercise to actually purchase that piece of land, because the lady who was actually selling it wanted about 5 or 6 times more than the price what God had told me. But all I can say is that we got it for the exact price, and we have begun the process, which is now 23 years in the making, of building all the things that God wants us to build on that land. And we have a school on the land which has 350 students going all the way from kinder or preschool all the way to 12th grade in the US system. And we take kids from some of the poorest backgrounds, really, living on dirt floors, little in the way of sanitation, and they've gone through the system, graduated from the Oasis of Hope School, gone on to university, graduated from university, become things like environmental engineers. I don't even know what an environmental engineer is. international business students, gone on to, all kinds of different professional careers. So we're very proud of our school, and it's our flagship, really. But I say we have 7 projects on the Atlantic coast of Colombia, and we do everything from digging wells for the Wayuu Indian tribe, who I've worked with. It's an indigenous group who live in the desert area of Colombia. I've worked with them for over 20 years, so we dig wells for them. We provide education, we provide healthcare, you name it, and we take care of the basic needs. And the ministry has grown incredibly big in some ways. I don't know the difference between little and big. It just seems the same as when we started under the tree to me. It's just a few more people and a few more buildings, but our heart is still the same, and that's to bless others. I believe that Christianity is always about blessing others. So people say to me, what about you? I'm good. God has provided exceedingly and abundantly more than I could have ever imagined when I was in that prison cell in Lindome, Doncaster. I don't take 1 red cent from the Oasis of Hope Foundation in the UK or the US or in Colombia. I live totally by faith.
And you've had the opportunity today to go to a children's home here in Bethlehem. Governor, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we've just visited a place called House of Hope. Love the name, by the way. And they look after kids, some blind kids, some physically challenged kids. They're doing an amazing job. It's here in Bethlehem. And, I've talked with the directors of the program today, and we're going to do what we can for them. I'm not saying what we can do, but I'm sure we can do something. But I was very impressed with the work that they do. In some ways, it might seem like a small work, but in God's eyes, there's no small, there's no big, there's no middle. We're all part of the same family. And I was talking today with what I consider to be members of the family of God. So if I see a member of the family of God who's in need, I'm going to do my level best to try and help them, whether they're in Jerusalem, or whether they're in, Santa Marta in Colombia, or whether they're in Timbuktu. It makes no difference to me. I want to try and do something for the House of Hope in Bethlehem if I can.
Has it been inspiring for you coming to Israel?
Yeah, it was my wife's dream, but obviously as a Christian, I was 100% for it. And I've not been disappointed. As I say, we've had some challenges, there's no doubt about it. I arrived at Tel Aviv airport with my credit card, and the machine gobbled my credit card up. So I'm thinking, what do I do now? I did actually have a debit card, so that did give me some money to get in shekels to get from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But it's been one challenge after the other. But yesterday, we went to the Garden Tomb. Just an amazing experience. I saw people worshipping there from Korea. They look like some people from the Senegal or somewhere like that, Somalia or somewhere, praying in their tongue. And then I went back a second time with my wife and kids, because the first time I went was with Paul. And the second time, the guy who's doing the tour, a guy called Stefano, who's Italian, he's also linked with the Assemblies of God of Great Britain, so we could kind of touch base and have a good chat and stuff like that. Yeah, it was just an awesome experience. We went to the Western Wall, or sometimes known as the Wailing Wall, and took my kids there, and my son Hudson said, why are we going to pray to a wall? I said, well, we're not actually praying to a wall, son. We're praying to God in Jesus' name. It doesn't matter where you are, whether it's the Wailing Wall or whether it's while you're having a shower in the morning. We're praying to God. So this is a unique experience, one which all your classmates in Santa Marta, Colombia, in all probability, are never going to be able to have this experience, so enjoy. So the Wailing Wall was very, very important. I loved it. I just saw the thousands of people there were, really, or hundreds at least. Yeah, so wonderful. And we've still got some more things to see. We're going to see the Nativity Church today, and one or two other things what Paul wants to show us. We also want to see the Holocaust Museum. Yeah, we're just planning it out day by day, and we go home on Monday. So I'm sure we'll have some amazing stories to tell when we get back to Colombia.
What's your prayer, finally, for the Holy Land?
For the Holy Land, that basically both sides will come together. I don't know whether that's historically, biblically relevant, but I believe in humankind, and I believe that our God, who we serve, is far greater than anything that the devil can do. I'm not a biblical student myself. I'm not a theologian. basically my theology is faith without works is dead. So I just pray for peace on this land. I pray that everyone can get on with each other. And, there's not much more I can pray for it because I don't have too many historical facts or present-day facts for that matter.
And what's your website, finally, for people who'd like to know more about the work that you do in Colombia?
Yeah, the website in the US is www.oasisofhope-us.org, and it's the same website in the UK. Instead of -US, it's -UK.
Okay, David, thank you very much.
My pleasure, Paul. Have a great day.